Guys, from Sunday showdowns to Saturday showdowns, big matchups in college football. Start with a pair in the SEC. Number 1, Texas takes on number 5, Georgia in Austin on ABC. Longhorns are playing in an AP Top 5 matchup during the regular season for the first time since 2008 against Oklahoma. Another Top 15 matchup in the SEC. Alabama takes on Tennessee in Knoxville. The Tide have dominated the Vols, winning 16 of the last 17 meetings. Tennessee's lone win came back in 2022. And number 6, Miami, heads to Louisville for an ACC showdown. Heisman hopeful Cam Ward has been sensational for the Canes. He's thrown 300 yards and multiple touchdowns in every game this season. So, here's where we stand with the college football playoff based on this week's AP poll if it happened today. Texas, Oregon, Miami, and Iowa State would all earn byes as the highest-ranked teams in their conference. Ashton Jeanty and Boise State would grab the 12th seed, leaving Notre Dame and BYU on the outside looking in. But as our college football playoff reporter Heather Dinich knows, we don't start the playoff tomorrow. We have a lot of football left. And Heather, I want to start there. We're already at the midway point of the season. How has this 12-team playoff already impacted the season thus far?
Well, for starters, Matt, when you look at that graphic, we are talking about Boise State and Iowa State. And go ahead and throw Army and Navy into the mix as they're both undefeated. So this is the widest, deepest, most exciting pool of candidates the postseason has seen in this sport. I would also add that this has reset the panic button because you can lose 2 games and still be in the conversation. No one knows how this is going to play out, not even the College Football Playoff Selection Committee members. How many 2-loss teams will there be, and how many will truly be in contention in Selection Day?
Yeah, Army and Navy on that graphic, by the way, just lights my college football wick. I love that they're in contention. But you mentioned the 2-loss teams. Ole Miss, one of those teams with 2 losses. The loser of Alabama, Tennessee, they're going to have 2 losses. If Georgia goes down to Austin, they'll have 2 losses if they lose. So, Heather, what can you tell me about how you think the committee will approach these 2-loss teams?
Well, let's start with Georgia, because I would be very careful to write them out of the picture if they lose in Austin, because they have a chance down the stretch to pick up 2 wins against ranked opponents in Ole Miss, and they've also got Tennessee on there if those teams are ranked. And by the way, don't forget their season opening win against Clemson, which could ultimately be a win against the ACC champs. That's the kind of thing that will separate Georgia if they don't win the SEC as an at-large contender in the eyes of the committee. But Matt, here's the bottom line. The committee will judge those at-large teams the way they did the top 4. Who has the best combination of eye test and resume? Even if you have 2 losses, you better have a statement win, and you've got to look like a national title contender.
That, you better not have a non-conference schedule that some of these top-ranked teams have already had this season. That's going to be a fascinating element as we get onto the back half of the season. Now, this is also going to be good because I want you to bring me a Heather's Heater. This is a big weekend of college football. We've seen upsets everywhere. Heather, give me that heat check that we need to watch this weekend.
Heat check, Barry. I am going with Illinois upsetting Michigan. Why? Because Michigan has had trouble throwing the ball. Illinois can do it. Their inability to pass is going to hand the Wolverines their 3rd loss of the season, and they are out of the playoff conversation before the calendar hits November.
I don't hate it. Brett Bielema's got the Illini playing well. Their quarterback looks good. That'd be a fun one to watch in the Big Ten. Illini came back from a big deficit last week. Fun one over the weekend. Okay, now give me an under-the-radar game that you believe will have playoff implications.
I'm going Miami at Louisville, and here's why. Everyone seems to assume the ACC is getting 2 teams in, Clemson and Miami, which are on a collision course to play for the title. But here's the thing. If Miami loses this game at Louisville and doesn't win the ACC, the selection committee is going to be staring at a 2-loss team with no wins against ranked opponents. That could be a real dagger for them. And I did talk to Mario Cristobal just a few minutes ago, and he thinks this team is capable of playing far better than it did in each of his last 2 wins. Chris,
it's great to be a Miami Hurricane.
Oh,
you know, it's great to be a Miami Hurricane. Is anybody going to join in with me? I'm a little confused.
All right. This is why we can't have nice things. All right.
Okay.
Goodbye, Heather.
I love it.